Hello and welcome to the Antiquarian Outlook for week 23 of 2025, starting June 2nd. I'm Spencer W. Stuart, Collections Advisor, author of Contemporary Issues and Rare Books and Manuscript Collecting, and host of the monthly webinar Collecting Insights. For more details on my services, publications, and programs, follow the links below in the description, along with links to auctions that we discussed this week. Okay, let's get into last week's results. Tuesday, Cotswold's auction had books, medals, militaria, coins, and stamps. There were 180 lots offered, of which 157 sold, making for an 87.2% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was for lot 363, this Hogarth Press copy of Eliot's The Wasteland, published in 1923. Estimates were set at £1,200 to £1,500, realizing the top end of £1,500. A buy-in of note, lot 116, this pocket-sized autograph book containing 107 signatures of RAF officers, most of whom participated in the Battle of Britain, collected around 1941. Estimates were set at £1,500 to £2,000. A lot that exceeded expectation was 263. This combined lot of 3 Beatrix Potter titles, as well as Kate Greenaway's The Language of Flowers. Estimates were set at £100 to £150, realizing £850. As well as lot 331, again a mixed lot of 21 volumes, most of the value focused on the type of bindings of these books. Estimates were set at £30 to £50, realizing £550. On to Wednesday, Zisska and Lacher had manuscripts, autographs, rare books, and posters. There were 733 lots offered, of which 369 sold, making for a 50% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was for lot 1, this Latin manuscript book, dated from around the 1490s, connected to Bavarian monasticism. Estimates were set at €4,600 to €7,000, realizing €8,500. As well as lot 51, this friendship album from around the 30 Years' War, kept by the theologian George David Mühlhauser, dated from between 1622 to 1634. Estimates were set at €5,000 to €7,500, realizing again €8,500. A lot that exceeded expectation was 11. This guild book for millers as well as bakers, connected to the German town of Merkendorf, done in German handwriting on paper. The dates of this guild book stretch from 1704 to 1792 and is made up of 160 pages. Estimates were set at €500 to €700, realizing €5,500. Still with Wednesday, Bonhams had sound and cinema. There were 178 lots offered, of which 115 sold, making for a 64.6% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was for lot 51, this British quad poster of The Empire Strikes Back from 1980. Estimates were set at £12,000 to £16,000, realizing £12,800. A lot that exceeded expectation was 55, this 1991 copy of Lord of the Rings, signed by the members of the cast of the film. Estimates were set at £1,000 to £1,500, realizing £9,600. Still with Wednesday, ALDE had rare and unusual old books. There were 375 lots offered, of which 239 sold, making for a 63.7% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was for 95, this large folio of Bretet's Map of Paris in 1734, published in the same year. Estimates were set at €5,000 to €6,000, realizing €8,500. A buy-in of note, lot 193, Niccolò's of Various Histories, this edition published in 1555. Estimates were set at €8,000 to €10,000. Finishing off the day, University Archives had rare autographs, manuscripts, books, and artwork. There were 524 lots offered, of which 495 sold, making for a 94% sell-through rate. Pertaining to books, the highest price realized was for lot 31, Thomas Jefferson's copies of the works of Cicero. Estimates were set at $150,000 to $200,000 US, realizing $90,000 US. A buy-in of note, lot 493, the Spanish-language off-print by Albert Einstein, published in 1943, connected to unified field theory. Estimates were set at $18,000 to $20,000 US. A lot that exceeded expectation, 202, a rare NASA red-numbered photograph taken during the Apollo 11 mission. Estimates were set at $900 to $1,000, realizing $11,000, as well as lot 446, a printed transcript of Frost's The Road Not Taken, signed by Robert Frost in 1938. Estimates were set at $300 to $400, realizing $4,250. On to Thursday, Bonhams had the collection and archive of Sir Basil Gould. There were 50 lots offered, of which 46 sold, making for a 92% sell-through rate. The highest price realized was for lot 49, 40 watercolors executed by Conwal Krishna, who accompanied Gould for the enthronement of the Dalai Lama between 1939 and 1940, and depict both ceremonies as well as dignitaries connected to the event. Estimates were set at £180,000 to £250,000, realizing just above £457,000. Within books and paper, the highest price realized was for lot 27, 7 large draft photograph albums by Sir Basil Gould between 1936 and 1937. These were meant to be weekly diaries of events during his time in Tibet and the surrounding region. Estimates were set at £20,000 to £30,000, realizing £57,550. Forum Auctions concluded an online sale, Modern Literature, of which a portion was the property of Margaret Hanbury, J.G. Ballard's primary agent from June 1983 until a few months after his death in April 2009. There were 294 lots offered, of which 273 sold, making for a 92.8% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was for lot 67, a first edition copy of Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile, published in 1937. Estimates were set at £1,000 to £1,500, realizing £4,000. A buy-in of note, lot 228, a later printing of Beatrix Potter's The Pie and the Patty Pan, published in around 1941. Estimates were set at £1,500 to £2,000. Finishing off Thursday, Zisska and Lacher had rare books, sheet music, atlases, maps, and decorative prints. There were 725 lots offered, of which 327 sold, making for a 45% sell-through rate. Highest price realized was for lot 740, this translation of The Hunt and Sport of Hongre, published in 1857. Estimates were set at €3,000 to €4,500, realizing €5,500, as well as lot 957. This study of southeastern Europe, predominantly Slovenia, published in Leipzig between 1778 and 1789. Estimates were set here at €3,000 to €4,500, realizing again €5,500. A lot that exceeded expectation was 2353, a mixed lot of approximately 250 sheets of various printing techniques. Estimates were set at €400 to €600, realizing €1,600. Finally, Friday, Wright Auctions had curated the library and design collection of James Zemaitis. There were 91 lots offered, of which 87 sold, making for a 95.6% sell-through rate. Within books, the highest price realized was for lot 148, this collection of 11 monographs connected to the furniture designer George Nakashima. Estimates were set at $500 to $700, realizing $17,780. Similar to the previous lot, Lot 103 also exceeded expectation. This collection of 17 titles connected to French Art Deco. Estimates were set at $600 to $800, realizing $13,970. On to next week. For a hyperlinked list of next week's auctions that we have an eye on, please get in touch with us directly. For those interested, space remains open to register for the Collecting Insights sessions in July at the emerging, expanding, as well as legacy level. As always, all registrants will also receive a complimentary copy of Contemporary Issues and Rare Book and Manuscript Collecting. Well, that's been the week from here. Let us know what you thought of last week. Anything that surprised you? Any items you had your eye on? Be sure to put some comments below and we'll keep the conversation going. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, the Antiquarian Outlook is totally independent. Its producers do not hold inventory, nor do they represent any consignments or acquisitions mentioned. If you want to stay up to date, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on your notifications. All for now, and see you next week.